Alright, everybody, welcome back to Gotcha News. And speaking of gotcha, well, looks like Miss Thing over here, TOMI LAHREN, if you don't know who she is, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but it seems as though she is what I would describe as kind of the voice of the alt-right movement. Just in case you didn't know who she was, she seems to be very, up until this point, very pro-Republican. Well, she went on to The View today, and as everybody knows, The View it very much skews towards the liberal side, and she basically pulled a whole switcheroo that's got all the Republicans' painters in a twist. She came out and said that she is actually pro-choice, and this came as a shock to a lot of people, as she is somebody who usually has been criticizing, people who are describe themselves and label themselves as feminists, women's march organizers, etc., etc., even though I don't really consider those people to be actual feminists because it didn't really make sense. They weren't really talking about women's rights. They put on their vagina suits and their vagina hats, and all of a sudden we all started talking, well, they all started talking about everything became anti-Trump, which just didn't make sense. The message kind of got a bit lost and got quite confusing as to why the hell they were all there. I don't think they all really knew what the hell they were talking about, or fighting for, or marching for, rather. But anyway, so TOMI came out and she did this, and she kind of pulled a little bit of switcheroo. And if we scroll down here, this was her speaking with Joy Behar, and she was talking about the Muslim ban, and Joy Behar brought up the fact that, most of the terrorist attacks that have happened on U.S. soil have been from people who were originally from Saudi Arabia, or had parents from Saudi Arabia, family members from Saudi Arabia, some way or another had ties, let's say, something to do with Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia, as everybody knows, is not the area that is, they are free and clear to come into the United States under this travel ban. And both Joy and TOMI actually agreed and said that Saudi Arabia should be on the list of territories that should be barred from coming into the U.S., at least temporarily. And I seem to agree with that. I think if it just doesn't make sense that we're going to be telling countries and areas that didn't have much to do with any terror attacks to not come here, but the one that did have ties, they've got the wide open door. So that don't make sense to me. But anyway, what I've got to say is a lot of people's panties were in a twist, seeing as TOMI had come out and said that she is pro-choice. But I've got to tell you, the thing with people such as TOMI, she's kind of one of those people who I feel like she's just going to say what she's going to say just to get your attention. And I feel like this is just step number one of her turning her back on the whole damn Republican Party. I give her some time. She will be as liberal. You won't even be able to call her a snowflake. She will be as liberal as the day is long, and it will shock everybody. It will piss off a lot of people, and it will also make other people not even know what to do with her. But that's what I've got to say about TOMI LAHREN. I feel like this is just a whole strategy. This is just step one in that strategy of turning her back against the alt-right movement. Mark my words. And she called out the hypocrisy. She called out the hypocrisy of Republicans who are pro-life. It does seem that they're pro-life up until a certain point. They're pro-life up until the fetus actually becomes a baby that is actually born and needs to be cared for. That's when all of a sudden the right doesn't want to spend government dollars on, taking care of and raising a child. So I don't understand what kind of... They're pro-life up until, that child's life actually begins. So it's very interesting. This is going to be an interesting thing to watch. It will either be interesting for the sense of seeing if she'll pull it off, or it'll be interesting to see if it just all blows up in her pretty little face. So I don't know, but beautiful girl, smart, I guess you could say. She's playing us like a fiddle. So it'll be very interesting to follow along this story. So that's all. Over and out.